Hey everybody, welcome to another session of our Terraform series for getting certified in Terraform. Today I'm joined with Rukshali. Rukshali, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Rukshali. I am a student pursuing bachelor's from India. I have been working in DevOps tools from like 1 year, and I currently joined cloud native mentoring sessions and like enjoying it.
And how many, this is your third talk or fourth?
Oh yes, third talk.
Nice. We're looking forward to it. And today we'll talk about Terraform State. So Terraform State's one of the most important things to know as well because it's one of the good things of Terraform where you store the state of the infrastructure that you have provisioned in the cloud. So, yeah, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
Is it visible?
Yep, it will be soon. I'll just chuck it out into the stream. Okay, there we go.
Oh, yes. So, welcome, people. We are on the seventh session, like on Terraform, that is implement and maintain state. So, from the name, we can see that it's all about like implement working on the Terraform states file. So, let me like take you to the code. Uh, so, this is the Terraform state file, that is TF state, which contains the current state of the of our infrastructure. So like I can show you my current state of the infrastructure by the command like terraform state list. So here you can say that there are lots of resources that I have been provisioning. So this is actually I'm using the local backend by default. The terraform uses the local backend. We don't need to specify it. So let's talk about the backend types. Um, so here we can see there are a lot of backends available for Terraform. Like we have local backend that we use that usually is a default backend. Next we have the remote backend. Like we can share this means we can have the our state file in the here the remote backend specially means the Terraform Cloud and the Terraform Enterprise. We can have our state files on Azure, also on like Kubernetes as well. We can see there is S3. Like we can have our state files in many of the other backends. So today we will like look into local backend and one of the backend called S3. So let's there are local backend comes under enhanced backend. Enhanced backend means where I can run my uh, s- where I can store my TF state file locally, as well as I can like run the operations, like I can run the terraform commands locally, and I can like launch the infrastructure from local system. So and there is another backend, like these are the standard backends S3, Azure RM, Kubernetes. So these are like we can run our operations locally, and we store our Terraform state files in the like the remote backends. So let's first look at the local backend. Like in the terraform.tf file, we have the keyword backend, and we can specify it like local, that local, and our path is terraform tf state file. Like store all the information in the local file, that is terraform.tf state. So you can see here all the information, like whatever you can see here as a summary, you can see like in the terraform tf state as sorry here as full like details, like what it is, and how means what suppose I launched the web server, so you can like see entire details, like what is it, public IP, private IP, what image it is using, and so on. So now, so you have seen the local backend. Now let's try on S3 backend. So no, let's first talk about state locking. So what is state locking? So suppose let me change something here. Let me change this to T2 micro. This is the instance type. Let me change this to T2 micro. Okay. So since I have made the change,
Um, Sorry to interrupt. We can see your Terraform site. Are you meant to be showing the code?
yeah, like just a minute.
Thanks, Pavan, for showing us as well. He just, yeah, brought it up.
Just a minute. Now it is visible.
Yep, just adding it back.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect.
So,
Yep,
so here you
thanks.
can see that I have like web server. Here you can see the instance type that I am using is T2 micro. It means I was using T2 small, but now since the slide was not visible, but I changed it to T2 micro. Now let's like understand what is Terraform Terraform state locking. Now if I do here Terraform apply, okay. So here you can see there is a TF state log file which logs this. I mean, suppose if we have multiple users in our organizations and suppose they are working on this same infrastructure file, like okay. So suppose if they make any changes in suppose we are right currently doing the Terraform apply, and at the same time suppose the other users does Terraform apply, so what it can cause like some problems. So Terraform has the feature known as state locking. So since like here I have done the Terraform apply, and now this currently the state is locked, like yes that someone is working on this. Now let me like split and let's try doing here as well. Terraform apply. So now here it gives me the error like the state is been locked and it is been used by the user, means that's me. So you can't perform any operations. You can perform by using the hyphen lock equals to false, but this is like not recommended. Yeah. So like let me also we can do a change. Like we have one option called as Terraform apply lock. So it will like this apply will wait for like 60 seconds. If before 60 seconds this file has been like applied, then it will run. Otherwise it will like stop the after 60 seconds it will stop running. So like let me do your yes, and let me also start this. So you can just see that the state is locked here, but it will like take few minutes, like 60 seconds it will wait, and if this is done under 60 seconds it will start it's applying here. So now it's creating the instance with the T2 micro size. I guess it 60 minutes will get passed.
And this one here is your AWS free account. Is that the one that you did free for 1 year?
So it took more than like 60 minutes. So it like it's saying like the state file is means been busy. So that's why it gave error. So no problem. Means you understood like what is the state locking. Means it locks the state for so that many user can't like use this at the same time. So now let's talk about that S3 backend I was talking about. So S3 backend is a standard backend. But like we in S3 we can't like do state locking, that it doesn't support state locking. But with DynamoDB table integration, means with using that we can like do Terraform like state locking in here as well, and we can store our entire TF state files in the S3 backend. So let's do this. So for doing this in Terraform, like this terraform.tf file, let's remove this, let's comment this backend, and let's talk about S3. So here I have written that the backend is S3. The bucket it is using is Terraform State bucket demo. Let me see, let's just create this bucket first. In the AWS console, let's create the bucket. uh, Terraform State bucket example. This is the name of the bucket, and I am keeping the settings default. But just I am allowing the public access. Means we don't do like this. We have permissions, but just for demo, I'm like allowing the public, and like you can enable the encryption and that. And let's create this
Hey,
bucket.
Charlie, can you hear me?
And since our bucket is created, also like I have given the DynamoDB table is Terraform State. Just spelling mistake. Terraform State. So on the AWS page, let's go to DynamoDB service. Let's create a table. Its name will be Terraform State. Just I have mentioned as in the code, this is Terraform State. And let's give the partition key lock ID, and rest of the settings is default, and just create the table. It just take a few seconds, and the table is created. Yep, we can see it is active. So from this we can, now we are specifying that store all our like the state file in this. This will be created like automatically like the prod directory in that AWS infra, and then it is the region specified, and this that which we saw here, the log file, it will be, we can see it in like this table Terraform State. Now let's apply this. Before applying, we need to say that we have like changed the backend from local to S3. So for this we have a command called terraform init reconfigure. Like it is initializing the backend, it will see like, do you want to copy the existing, let's say yes, like existing whatever we have, let's copy in the S3, and successfully configured the backend S3. And now if I see here, there's nothing because everything is shifted to the S3 bucket. And now let's change something in the code. Let's change again this to T2 small. Now let's do Terraform apply. So now you can see like, we can't see anything here, that the log file, like something new file known as log, like where it logs the state has came, it is totally here. Like you can see in Terraform State, here in explore tables, you can see it over here. Just a minute. it says that it is using S3 as a like it is given, and you can see like the our lock it been here like Drukshali is been using this file like we have like shifted our backend to the S3, and now like let's go and apply this one, these changes. It will just take a few seconds for like deleting the previous and then changing the instance type. So till then, if you have any questions, you can ask. Mm, okay. And now the new instance is started to create. So now releasing the state log. Now it knows that our state log file is here at the here Terraform State table. So it will take a few seconds to like just remove the state file from here. Oh, now it's gone. And now here you can see in the table our we have the prod, and then we have the AWS infra file where we have all our state being stored. Just a second. AWS infra. And we can see it from here. Like our entire state file is being stored in the S3 backend. Okay, so this was all about the state files. Brad, would you like to?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't think you can still hear me. How about now? So yeah, some of the things I was talking about was the um, the encryption on the bucket. That's very important. Now, when we talk encryption, that's generally on the cloud level. So if people can still access it, then they can still see the file as well. So, sorry, I'm quite sick of it. So, Bookshine, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that was good. One thing is versioning. That's very important because if you need to do a rollback, it's really easy to go back in the S3 bucket, and Ben's had to do this in production as well. So um, that can really save you sometimes in tricky situations. Um, did we want to look at another type of state like Azure or anything like that? Maybe we can go through the documentation again, and then we can just talk over that as well. So is everybody clear what the Dynamodb table does as well? Maybe we can go into that Dynamodb table and just show the table where it says lock true. So if you can go back into AWS, that would be really good, and then we can show where the actual lock is. if you can share your screen there.
Yeah, like here.
Yep, perfect. So let's go, yeah, Dynamodb, and then the table, and then, yeah, you can see here that they have a lock ID and a digest. So really, if there's a lock ID in there as well, that will mean that the best thing about remote state is that when you're working in dev teams, like, you don't really need a remote state if you're just doing like a project, like just for fun on your computer. But when you start, one good thing is it backs it up as well. So if you're doing an important project and then you lose your state file, you're going to be in a bit of trouble because at the moment you can't exactly run a command and that will pull all your state back. That they're working on that in the future, but it's not quite there. But so it backs up on the cloud. The cloud is very good at doing geo-replicated backups if they go down as well. So that's one good use case to use remote state. And the second one is, like I mentioned before, is the remote team. So if you have 6 people developing, and let's say that 2 of them do like a merge into main to the branch, and your pipeline will run, um, the first one will override the second. So it's about knowing exactly what state you have, and not letting, if you have 2 people trying to change the state at the same time, that's where you can get corruption and things will happen wrong in production. So that's the whole reason that we use the remote locking in DynamoDB. And it's important to know as well that because you don't really use this table that much, you can use you don't need to, there's in the cloud, it's called provision. You don't need to use the provision, you can use on demand. So on demand will be much cheaper than using provision. Otherwise, if you have a provision one, you're going to constantly pay for that table, whereas on demand will let you. So if you can go to the Terraform documentation for DynamoDB, we can actually look at that as well. And generally in Terraform, sometimes you actually have more options than you do in the console as well. So um, yeah, if you just go to DynamoDB instead, like just type AWS DynamoDB Terraform, and then that will come up with that result. Yep, DynamoDB table. That's it. So if folks don't know, this is a NoSQL data store, which is very cool. I've used it a lot in AWS before with work. Yeah, and then see how you have billing mode as provisioned. So if we go down to look at billing mode in the documentation, a little bit more down under the code, it'll tell us more about it. So yeah, just go down a little bit more. Yeah, billing mode. So there you go. So optional controls, how you're charged for read and write. So it's throughput. You can have managed capacity, the values are provisioned, or so it's pay per request. So generally you're not changing your Terraform too much. Maybe at the start you are when you're developing and making it, but afterwards you're not doing it. So for folks that want to test this, it's good that you can save a bit of money by doing pay per request instead of having it always provision. So that's a little tip there as well. And then so yeah, tips we talked about was billing mode for DynamoDB. Sometimes it can sort of corrupt and you have to delete the lock ID. So you can use a Terraform command to do that as well. So, and like you said, lock equals false as well. So that will override that. I've had that happen to me quite a few times, but there are ways that you can unlock it as well. So yeah, does anyone have any questions about that? It sounds like Pavan wants to see some Azure as well.
Yeah, Azure.
So if you want, I can share my screen and
Yeah.
let's
Like
go and check.
I'm not familiar with Azure, so like
Okay.
I'm really sorry for those who are
We
like.
can we can show all three as well if you want. So let's have a look at Azure then. So let me share my screen, and then we'll do GCP as well in case anyone likes GCP. Okay. Um, just 1 second. I'm just having trouble sharing my screen. Won't be long. So, look, Charlie, did you have any like problems learning anything about state? Any advice for anyone that's learning it?
No, it was like quite easy part, like states doing all the like learning. It was like easy part for the states and all that stuff. Also like means got to know about new like how Terraform init can like do various like migrate the states, and like we can use the
Hmm.
reconfigure option. Like it was easy for me to understand it.
Hmm. And I guess it's good to know that you can migrate state as well, which is quite good. So if you have state in other places, you can. There's a command that you can migrate it and then put it to another bucket or remote backend, which is quite cool as well.
And we have
So
one question like how to you how do user Terraform how to use Terraform to provision infrastructure on-prem servers.
yeah. So how to let me read it. So how how to use a Terraform to provision infra on on-prem servers. So good question. So let's maybe go through the docs as well. Like it depends if you're using VMware or um, it depends what sort of on-prem server you have. So if you have any more specific details, then we can show you the providers as well. So there's a few of them for like vSphere as well. So um, yeah, if you have more details, let me know. We can show you the docs on that as well. And then there's another question as well. So I had this problem local backend when I had to terminate operation mid provision. Some reasons got ready, but the state file became empty and I could not destroy the resources. Why does that happen? Um, yeah, so generally, like you never terminate when Terraform is running, even if it takes a long time, you just let it do its thing to elegantly stop. Otherwise, I've had problems like that as well, where it corrupts your code and everything, and then you have to manually delete the stuff in the cloud and then sort of start again almost. Um, yeah, I think the key is as well is try not to use local backend if you don't need to, um, and just always like sort of take backups as well if you're going to do that, because once you lose your state, you're sort of in trouble. And generally, like if you're doing let's say like in Azure, you can have resource groups. So generally, all of my code in Terraform will be under one resource group. So I can just, if that does happen, I can just go delete the resource group if I wanted to. Sometimes if you're production, obviously you can't, but um, I guess just backup is the key for that guy. Because I've seen if you don't have backup, you're going to be in a lot of trouble in production. Um, yeah. Okay. So let's start to share my screen and see if it's going to work. No, it's not going to work for me today. So maybe, look, Charlie, can you share your screen again and let's bring up some code in my GitHub. It's the AKS one for Terraform.
Okay.
We can go over that, and then we can show folks the AKS one.
Just a second.
So in my GitHub as well, I have all the Kubernetes offerings. So I have Azure, AWS, and GCP. So there'll be examples of running it on each cloud.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah. And once you bring it up, we can show the AKS repo, and then we can show how we're using the remote backend. One cool thing as well is you don't actually have to write the details of the remote backend in the Terraform. You can pass it as a parameter when you initialize um, as well, which is quite cool. Okay, it's coming up now.
Yeah,
Just
like
going to add
here
that
it
to.
is.
Yeah, I'm just going to add it to the stream. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, yeah, so this is Terraform module. So can we actually go to dev/AKS as well? And that will,
Is
so if
your
you just search, not in this repo, but go to the search or jump to it up there in the AKS, and you should be able to see it. Okay, maybe type my GitHub name and then um, /AKS. Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
mm-hmm. AKS, right?
Yeah, AKS, yeah.
AKS.
So don't go in this. So just go all GitHub at the bottom. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Okay, and then let's go into source, and then let's go provider. Let's see what's in that one. Sometimes as well you can have like a Terraform.tf as well, but this is showing how a remote backend works in Azure using the Azure RM. So and all of these, you don't need to specify all of them. You can pass it in as an extra parameter in it if you want to be more generic or dynamic. So you can see here that you use a resource group name, a storage account. So that's essentially the same thing as an S3 bucket. And then the container name is like a folder as well, in talking AWS language. So you can see here that's how you do it in Azure. So very similar. And obviously, you need to be signed into the cloud as well in the CLI if you're doing it locally. So yeah, you need to be authenticated. Otherwise, you don't have access to that file. So you could do either AWS. What's that one called again? Like configure, and then that will on your computer that will give you the your secret access key, and that will be stored, and then you'll have access to it. Or if you do Azure, then you can do AZ accounts, AZ login in GCP, G-Cloud, auth. So that's how that you can get access to the cloud. And if you go to the Hub Actions, so yeah, exactly, yeah. And then there should be CI probably, yep. And then you can see here that, see how my secrets client secret. So that's my secret to Azure. So that gives the pipeline access to talk to Azure. So Terraform here, you can see here I'm doing, this is an example of a pipeline. So when I commit to main, you can see on push to main, I'm going to say, give me my GitHub secret for my Azure. And then it's going to say Terraform in it. And I'm saying my Terraform files are in the source folder. I think we've talked about this a lot. TFSet, so that does static code analysis for their Terraform code. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's really cool. It'll really help you to write good Terraform code. Important for when you're going for jobs and things as well. So you can ensure that you're running good code that's not going to breach security in your workplace. And then we're running Terraform plan, and you can see here that I'm using one. Let me just zoom in as well. So you can see here that we're using var file equals deployment demo.tfr. So you can use demo prod whatever, so you can keep it generic. Like you can even change this to run different environments based on variables. And the reason I'm doing when you do Terraform plan, you don't need to out the file, but there's one good practice why you do out is because if you did Terraform plan, you checked it out, and then if someone changed code like, and this generally wouldn't happen in this scenario, but if someone changed code before that, you want to know that what. Okay, so for example, if you did a plan, someone changed code, and you apply, you could actually pick up changes that you didn't actually look at in the plan, if that makes sense. So um, that's why you can use the Terraform plan out to get the file, and then after you can apply it. So and then the validate. So that's doing Terraform validate. So Terraform validate is very important as well. Um, so you see here that I'm saying Terraform show the plan file, put it into JSON because that's that's what we need the JSON file to validate, and then the Terraform plan validator is actually code that we wrote in Golang. So it's using tfset and open policy agent. This is setting up like guardrails, so we're not gonna put things into production that we want to. So you can see here that it's going to use an Azure policy, and that's going to say, um, you know, this Terraform code cannot delete a database, for example, because obviously that would cause, that would give you an outage. And then it's saying here like if that passed, then you can auto apply. So as we know in Terraform, you can either auto apply or you can manually do it. So it'll give you a button if you want to manually do it as well. So that's an example of a pipeline. I mean, we went a little bit off topic, but I guess it's good to see as well. But that's showing the backend state. And then if we go to my repo as well called GKE, that will show us the Google Cloud way of doing remote backend as well. And then let's go provider. No, sorry, Terraform. Yeah, see here that I'm using actually sometimes I like to split them out. I think it's better. So in this case, I'm using Terraform and I just put my backend state there. That's probably a better way that I like it. You can put Terraform code in any file you want, really. But this is using so this is
GCS.
GCS. So that's if you want to do GCP stuff. So I'm not quite sure what GCS stands for. I think it's Google Cloud Suite or something like
Google
that.
Cloud Storage.
Yeah, storage. Sorry, it is too. Yeah, storage. Right. Thanks. And then I'm using a credentials file that's obviously not in the repo, but I use that. We'll be able to see it in the pipeline as well. But and then we're using a GCP bucket, and then the prefix of the file. Well, yeah, where the file is going to go as well. So that's an example of using a remote end as well. So the one that you showed me in AWS, I like the most because that has the remote lock as well. So my favorite is AWS for that reason. So yeah, it's you can see it's just parameters really, like and like Brooke Charlie showed before, you can go into the documentation and then it will tell you which ones you need. So yeah, if you go back in time, exactly.
Azure RM.
Yep. And then yeah, you can see like that. That will give you all of the parameters that you need to know. So there's also another one, console as well, but that's like a HashiCorp um, place where you can store your content as well. I haven't used that yet, but maybe we can check that out one day. So does anyone have any questions about that? I think we covered quite a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, in summary, we went over local storage, local state, remote state, sort of the best practices to use as well. So always put bucket encryption, and then don't let people see your state file because passwords live in your state file as well. So potentially you could have like all your passwords for your database and your whole like infrastructure. So yeah, it's important that you do use good security policies around that bucket as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do you have sort of any final remarks?
No, no, like it's just like we covered everything related to the
Mm.
states and also the backups, so like all the best practices as well. We also looked at various like the backends S3, Azure, and GCS. Also, like we have a Terraform Cloud. Like I haven't tried that one. Like I will share if I try the
Yeah.
Terraform Cloud free version.
Yeah, I have Terraform Cloud as well. Actually, actually, my screen's not sharing, but maybe if anyone wants to try it out, I can give them access as well. But Terraform Cloud's quite cool as well because you can store your state in the cloud. So Terraform Cloud will actually handle all that stuff for you. So that can be quite cool as well. I normally like all the open, like Terraform Cloud is sort of open source, it's free, but I like to make my own framework because you can do more custom things with it. So that's generally why I do it remote backend. But um, yeah, in Terraform Enterprise or Cloud, we're going to cover that in the next session as well for the last session of the series. So that we can go over the state in there as well in the next session. And when do you think that you do your exam?
Around like this month only, 15, 16 March. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, you should be ready. I mean, we've done quite a few sessions now, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
and
need
yeah,
some practical hands-on practice, and
yeah.
then I'm good to go.
Yeah, I have lots of that for you, so it's coming. Some of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, it's funny the sometimes in the background you hear the horns from the cars. I remember when I was in India, the way they drive is so different because they'll drive and they'll do like a courtesy toot, and they toot the horn all the time. It's pretty funny. Okay. So does anyone have any other questions, or I think that was good, like good explanation. So um, yeah. All right.
Don't have any questions. Yeah.
And you can always reach out to us in Slack as well, and we're happy to answer them. That.
Yeah.
So yeah, so thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you at the next session as well.
Yeah.
And
Bye.
thanks for chatting. It was always good to see
Yeah.
your sessions.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.